Good morning. Good. Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of October 7th, 2019 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. The phrase, strong but sensitive, has described everything from Russell Crowe to antiperspirant. But don't retire it until you hear the newest automotive application. When I come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You typically think of tires as hardworking and tough, but a new generation will have a sensitive side too. Make that sensors on the side. Yes, Continental Tevis has introduced Smart Tire that will have two tiny sensors built into its sidewall. These mini computers measure how a car is affected by motions such as braking and cornering, and then relays this info back to the ABS and onboard computer. Result? Improved safety and performance. Wow! Strong, sensitive, and smart. Sign me up. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Thump, thump, thump. There go the strings of your heart. Or could it be the strings of your engine's heart? When I come back, I'll tell the story of automotive love and loss.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
That thumping may be more than your heartbeat. It could be, da-dum, your engine's bearings. Bearings are joints, like your hip socket. They allow pistons and crankshafts, your engine's hips and legs, to move in concert. And like our joints, bearings use a lubricant to ensure smooth movement. It's called engine oil. And if it's low, old, or gritty, it no longer cushions. Result, bare metal on metal. So avoid the heartbreak and expense of worn bearings. Treat your engine to regular oil changes. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. When it's raining, do you hold your breath as your car struggles to start or runs rough when it does? There's a simple way to locate ignition parts that act up with the weather, and when I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
In damp weather, if your car runs rough until it warms up, the problem might be moisture shorting out worn ignition wires. To troubleshoot, shops use a $25,000 scope, but you can use a $2 bottle of Windex. That's right, Windex. Here's how. With engine idling and AC on, spray each spark plug wire with Windex. When the Windex hits the bad wire, the engine will misfire. Next, spray the distributor cap. coil wire and coil. With each part, listen and look for the engine to stumble or shake. When it does, you found the culprit. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Trolls charge them to cross bridges. Banks levy them to use ATMs. But I know an automotive fee that's next best to free and good for the environment. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Believe it or not, there's a fee that keeps two things green: your wallet and the environment. When purchasing a new battery for your vehicle, a core charge levied by the government is collected by retailers. So where's the good news? Trade in your old battery and the fee's waived. Or if you forget to bring it with you, just return it later and the core charge will be cheerfully refunded. An environmental bonus: used batteries kept out of landfills are collected from retailers and recycled. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Funny things, knock-knock jokes, Bill Cosby, vaudeville, and Ally McBeal. But car noises, which can point to serious problems, are no laughing matter. When I come back, I'll give you the punchline.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Why'd the chicken walk across the road? Because his car died after making a funny noise, like these. Click. Tapping, like a ballpoint pen. Clunk. Heavy metal-to-metal sound, like hammers on steel. Grind. Abrasive noise, like sandpaper. Groan. Low-pitched hum, like when you see your credit card bill. And growl. Guttural sound, like an angry dog. If you hear these noises, don't laugh them off. Tell them to your technician, or the joke may be on you. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
Vroom, vroom. This is a special edition. I'm really excited about today's program, folks, because a little later in the program, we're going to hear about the new 2020 mid-engine Corvette. 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, engine behind the driver, and all the creature comforts and a track mode and just a lot of information. And we're going to hear that from Shad Balch from the California Auto Show. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you this morning by our partners at O'Reilly Auto Parts. You can trust the friendly, knowledgeable parts professionals at O'Reilly Auto Parts because they know what it takes to get the job done right. Professional technicians have counted on O'Reilly Auto Parts for years. Go and see for yourself. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. And folks, your number, my number, your call, 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. So if you're getting ready for the road, the good news is the road's waiting on you. The bad news is your car ready? And that's a good question. Bobby Likis Car Clinic brought to you this morning by the Car Care Council, reminding you that October is Fall Car Care Month. And folks, visit carcare.org to learn how you can keep your vehicle safe, dependable, and on the road longer. Okay, let's get ready. Hannah is sitting by, taking your calls at 888-227-2546. Again, every Saturday, 10 to noon, Bobby Likis Car Clinic. In the service bay this week, an 08 F-150 with a check engine light flashing, which typically indicates a misfire. The engine was showing the symptoms as well because it was shaking and the truck was hardly running. A complete diagnostics proved the problem to be one failed ignition coil and a marginal coil. At 12 years old and 123,000 miles, we felt it made sense to replace all the coils and spark plugs. Our solution? Replacement coil packs and spark plugs from Motorcraft. These trucks perform best when they're running on all 8 cylinders, and even more so when Motorcraft parts are installed. We carefully installed the coil packs and spark plugs, cleared the misfire codes, and road tested the vehicle. The customer's F-150 ran great. The performance and economy restored. Motorcraft parts are specifically designed for all your Ford and Lincoln repairs. Motorcraft, right part, priced right. You can learn more about Motorcraft coil packs and spark plugs and other high-quality vehicle-specific parts at motorcraft.com. This car repair spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, this week an 04 Chevy Avalanche with 196,000 miles came in the shop with a noisy front wheel and ABS light on. Our service team determined the truck had a bad front wheel bearing. Not sure about the ABS issue. We called our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional who recommended a Precision brand hub assembly. The Precision hub came with new bearings, new seals, new wheel studs, and an ABS sensor built in. Perhaps the new hub with its built-in ABS sensor might also fix the ABS. We called the owner to explain the process and give a cost estimate. Replace the hub, clear all codes, and retest the vehicle. What a relief after repair as both the noise and ABS issue were repaired. Given the cost of repair, whenever we can fix 2 problems with 1 part, makes our customers really happy and our team heroes. That's why we make O'Reilly Auto Parts our first call. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with today's show. I'm glad that you tuned in, and just remind yourself, and there on your handy-dandy, well, in the back of your mind, be all right, 10 till noon Eastern Time every Saturday. I'm here, and we also are available at our Watch Bobby Live. That's watchbobbylive.com, which is an HD video. And the camera is right here in-house, and from time to time I share some neat little things that I find in the shop during the week. Not as often as I'd like with regard to show and tell, because that would be a whole different kind of a broadcast. But we may do that one day where we actually take you out into the shop. And we'd have to shoot that, Fabio, and video maybe a certain repair. It's just, here's the challenge, and here's the challenge with like going online. A lot of folks say, well, I went online. In fact, everybody does that, and yours truly as well, to see if you can find some similar experience that someone else has had with their car to make it easier to fix an automobile. Now, for us, we have professional sites that we go to that we pay for, like AllData, for information, TSBs, recalls, service bulletins, wiring diagrams. I mean, if you're going to go somewhere, you have to have a map. Well, that's what a wiring diagram is for an automobile, and you must have one to trace any electrical circuits and other professional. But the bottom line is, in order for you to really fix a specific part on an automobile, you're not going to find you're not going to find a specific fix online. There's always a caveat. There's always some little something that, well, it worked on one car, but it was built 2 months earlier than yours, or it had a different wire than yours, or it had a different transmission or different gear ratio. So you can learn a little bit, but don't take it for gospel. Okay, let's go to New York and take David's call. Then I see Anita is calling with a Mustang, and David's calling with an '08 Mercury, a follow-up call from a recent call-in. David, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm terrific. Yourself?
Well, the car's fixed.
Okay, let's pick up where we left off. Fill me in. Where do we leave off?
All right, we had the 08 Sable that was skipping, and it wasn't really setting any codes.
Right.
We talked about pending codes and
okay,
and 5 to 10,000 occurrences before it actually throws a code.
Right.
And that's the way it worked with this one. Well, I took it out for drives. I took it out about 5 30-minute drives. Dry weather, wet weather. It's real easy to get it in wet weather up here this year, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
And, oh, boy, does it rain here.
Oh.
And
hey, I'm in Florida. You talk about rain, David. You're in New York. But let me tell you, if it's not raining in Florida, just wait 20 minutes because of the weather. And the humidity,
right.
I don't know how the humidity is in New York, but the humidity in Florida, you would beg for rain sometimes, because to be mugged with that humidity and 85 to 90 or 100 degree temperatures. But anyway, back to your story. I didn't mean to interrupt there.
Yeah, well, we run about 80% humidity here. But anyway, so I took the thing out for a drive. I tried it with the air, with a cruise, without the air, with a cruise, all the combos with the air and the cruise. Didn't seem to make any difference.
Right.
Because sometimes those things can get into that. And it got progressively worse. I mean, when it started out, it was skipping maybe once, maybe twice in a mile.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time it went back to the dealers, it was skipping all the way down.
Wow.
Now, it still hadn't thrown a code, but I think it had pending codes. The guy wouldn't talk to me about it. It's like, I don't know. It was like a secret, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, it turned out to be 2 coil packs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how 2 coil packs could both go at the same time, I don't know. But they changed the packs, the plugs, and a gasket and all the boots, which may or may not have been needed. And runs good. Gained about a mile and a half in the gas mileage.
Well,
I'll let you take it.
Yeah, let me say this, because we talked a little bit about coils and Ford products. And, of course, when I think of a coil and I think of Ford, I think of the F-150 trucks, hundreds of thousands of F-150 trucks, especially the 3-valve heads where the spark plug will break off when you try to extract it from or just unscrew it. Oh, yeah, that's a bummer. But your engine is not the one of those, so you don't have to worry about that. But with regard to coils, and I mentioned this before, it is our policy, and again, our policy is one thing, but to try to convey why we make those decisions to the owner of a car is another thing. And let me give you an example. Let's say on your Mercury that you had number 2 cylinder misfire. Even if it didn't throw a code, we could see that there was storage in there that number 2 had misfired, 8,000 times or 7,000 times, and then we could watch it real time. In fact, Johnny Bars, our master, he's a shop foreman and master ASC technician, and I looked at a car recently that had some misfires to try to pinpoint why and what Anyway, so the bottom line, what we have found is that it is always best, considering the age of a vehicle and the mileage, to replace the plugs, the boots, and the coils in a pack. So much so that we have gotten, and here's how we do this. At one time, those coils were $100 and something a piece, and I mean it made a huge repair. When actually you could put 1 or 2 coils and stop the problem. But then again, next week another coil would go bad. Then next month another one, and then finally you've got the same customer coming back, the same car owner saying, "Hey, Bobby, what is this? I've been here. I have the same problem." Well, it's not the same problem. Same complaint. And my car's misfiring, and I've already paid A, B, and C. Now you want me to pay again? So we learned the hard way. And by going through, and we're transparent. It's a prerequisite, and we've been in business 47 years. And not only have we won Best of the Bay, but I'm proud to say, in fact, it was just news just in yesterday. We won Best of the Coast, which is an independent in-weekly news here in Pensacola and along the Gulf Coast, and we won through our popular vote from our customers Best of the Coast in oil change and in auto repair, and that's a big deal. We won this in 14, 15, 16, 17, and 2018. And so I want to take this opportunity to thank my crew, because that's a big deal. Now, so let's go back to the root of our conversation here. We actually, and I have suggested to some of our F-150 customers, I said, up the street is O'Reilly Auto Parts. And this is a fact. If I could throw a football that far, it's just a feel. I'm sure that Brady could, or Drew Brees, or maybe Tua with Alabama, he could do it. We could throw a football from here to O'Reilly Auto Parts. I suggested to a customer, not only recently, but over the last couple of years, you go up to O'Reilly Auto Parts and you buy an Excel coil kit that comes in a box for your car, for your truck, all eight, and that way you get the resistance of the coils, you get the quality of the coils, and you get all of them fixed at one time. And you say, well, normally you don't take your parts to a shop. That's correct. But in the case of the coil debacle of Fords, which that's what I call it, it's just age and wear, but those coils fire a lot. The bottom line is we replace all of them but where possible, we send them up to O'Reilly Auto Parts and let them buy their coils from O'Reilly Auto Parts. And you know what that does for us, David? It takes away that part of the repair that doesn't make it so big, because if you're buying something, it's not the same as you coming here and paying me to go buy it and then resell it to you. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
That's a very unusual statement and modus operandi for a service shop to do. But after 47 years, I always and love to and still do put myself in my customer's shoes. And besides, in the long run, I've made a customer because I saved him or her money, and in the long run, I don't get a car that comes back for the same complaint, not the same reason, but the same complaint. So I really appreciate you calling me back, and it's ironic because we did talk about, folks, the fact that with Ford products, the misfire that the onboard computer sees has to reach a certain count before they'll throw a code or throw a light, throws a code. The only thing I can say, and I got a hard break, David, coming up, was I'm a little disappointed that the technician wouldn't talk to you or didn't want to share information with you, because in our industry, that's the only way you can, like a doctor, it's the only way you can do properly and make a good communication. Anyway, got to go. Got a hard break. Coming back to Anita and another David from South Carolina. Folks, don't touch that dial. If your vehicle's a little sluggish, try Berryman's B12 Chem Tool. Using HEST or high energy solvent technology, Berryman's B12 Chem Tool dissolves gum, varnish, and carbon deposits in the fuel system, which help restore lost power and peak performance. But don't take our word for it. Richard M's 99 Acura had 200,000 miles and was idling roughly. He put a bottle of Berryman B12 Chem Tool and the idle smoothed out and the car ran noticeably better. Learn more about Berryman B12 Chem Tool and other great products at berrymanproducts.com. Motorrad, a longtime OE supplier, is a leader in automotive thermostats, caps, and engine management products. Motorrad's manufacturing facilities feature state-of-the-art equipment with strict quality control and functional testing, ensuring high-quality, long-lasting products. Motorrad delivers world-class product development for its advanced thermal and engine management programs, providing parts, accessories, and kits needed to do the job right the first time, every time. Motorrad provides parts for virtually any vehicle and engine on or off the road. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. This Car Repair Spotlight is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This week, a 2017 RX 350 Lexus with 28,000 miles came in the shop for a 30,000-mile inspection. No problems, except the Lexus AC system had a musty AC odor. Our ASE-certified technician performed all factory-approved services, including a new key fob battery. Then we ordered a MicroGuard cabin air filter from our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional to cure the musty odor. We installed a Wix oil filter in this Lexus to make sure our 30,000-mile service included parts that matched or exceeded the factory specs. With 48 years in automotive service and repair, we choose the best brand parts that are of the highest quality. But of all the great services we performed on this Lexus, the main one our customer will notice is whether or not the musty odor is gone. That's why we make O'Reilly Auto Parts our first call. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. A special surprise, as I mentioned earlier, folks. We're going to have with us a gentleman that's going to tell us all about the new mid-engine Corvette. I'm really excited. Meanwhile, call with your car questions at 888 Car Clinic. But take note that all-new mid-engine 2020 Corvette Stingray is coming to a Chevy dealer near you. The vehicle is starting to make the rounds at auto shows across the country, so we thought we'd bring to you a little information, sort of a teaser. Joining us today on the Car Clinic hotline from the Orange County Auto Show in California is Shad Balch, Chevrolet's Western Region Communication Manager. Shad, I'm really excited to have you join us. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you, Bobby. It's great to be back with you again.
Well, thanks for being here. Okay, here we go. Share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers what makes this the best Corvette ever.
Well, it is indeed the best Corvette ever. And, you know, when you talk to some of the engineers and designers in Michigan who worked on this 8th generation Corvette, they will tell you that despite how amazing the 7th generation Corvette was, especially the ZR1 high-performance Corvette, they engineered that car, that front-engine car, to its maximum. So you couldn't get much more performance or speed out of a front-engine Corvette. And they convinced our leadership, look, if we're going to do a next Corvette that's got to be faster, better, higher-performing ar, we got to reconfigure it. We got to start over, and we got to put the engine behind the driver. And so that's what we have. We have the first mid-engine Corvette ever. This is the 8th generation. But, you know, it's interesting. The Corvette was always destined to be a mid-engine car. Back in the 60s, we started showing concepts of what a mid-engine Corvette could look like. So, you know, cut to 40 years later, and we finally have one.
Well, I'm really proud about that. And let's talk about the redesign. Just briefly, what does it mean for weight distribution, handling, and, of course, performance?
Well, those are the three things right there that you just touched on that take this car to the next level. When you put the engine behind the driver, you get perfect weight balance. That is, the front weighs exactly as much as the rear weighs, and that just keeps the car completely stable on a track. But in addition to that, when you move the weight of the engine to the rear of the car, you have maximum traction capability too. So if you have a lot of horsepower, but you're sitting there spinning the wheels and tires, you're not going anywhere. But if you add that weight from the front to the back, those tires will stick, and when you hit the throttle, the car's gonna scoot out of its way. This car, the base car with the performance exhaust, it starts at $59.95, and it'll do 194 miles per hour. That's unheard of.
Oh, absolutely unheard of. And I'll tell you what I really like about this. Number one, the starting price of the vehicle. Who would have believed that we would ever enjoy a mid-engine car that didn't cost $150,000, much less in the high 50s? Let's talk about the roadability on the track and on the street on the new mid-engine. And folks, we're talking with Shad Balch, the Western Region Communications Director for Chevrolet. So give us your sort of a seat of the pants rundown.
So that's one of the best things about Corvette, and especially in the recent generations, people remark about how amazing it is to, if you change some of the driver settings from comfort to track or touring to sport, the car really transforms to an entirely different machine based on whatever driving situation you're in. So, for example, if you're just driving on regular streets and you want a comfortable ride, you turn it down to touring mode, and it drives amazingly well, and it doesn't jar your teeth, and it doesn't feel like anything else but a luxury vehicle. But then when you want to take it to a track, you turn that dial to track mode, and all of a sudden you're in a race car, and you're able to take turns faster and harder than you think the car will do. The suspension stiffens up, the steering gets a little bit stiffer, the shift points in the transmission become a little bit delayed so that you have maximum performance when you hit the throttle. The parameters of all of these different things that change when you adjust the knob based on your driving style or what road condition you're on, that is what sets this car apart. It can be a very comfortable cruiser, or it can be a high-performance track car.
Well, from what I've read and seen online about the vehicle, I have my own ideas as to really what it delivers, but I'd like for you to share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers a little bit about the new body and the interior design and the technology. I mean, does the 2020 Corvette Stingray have the latest bells and whistles and the safety technology that we are all growing to expect?
It does. The new Corvette has all of the safety technology, all of the comforts and convenience that that Corvettes have had into this new model, and that's probably the best part because we've actually added on to that. So when you look inside the cockpit, you'll see that it's a very driver-centric design, and that means that when our designers laid out all the buttons, all the switches, all the screens, everything that you need to operate, it's all facing the driver. It's all very convenient for the driver to maximize the driving experience. And when you show photos of this, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's almost like there's a divide between the driver and the passenger because there's so much focus on making sure the driver has everything in eyesight and at their fingertips. Has built-in Wi-Fi. It has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto capability, all of that technology that we first pioneered in earlier Corvettes. This one, of course, has as well. And then when you have a mid-engine design, it's behind you. So our designers are able to really maximize the front view for the driver without any obstruction. So unlike previous Corvettes where you have the long nose that has to house the big engine, this one it looks entirely different. I mean, you're able to have a very clear line of sight out the front of the car in a way that you've never seen.
So for those who want to make this vehicle like a track vehicle, is there a racing or track mode that actually measures performance and lap time so that you can go out, flip the switch, and do your thing and then have a recording of it?
There sure is, yeah. It's there's two technologies in this car to do exactly what you described. So first is you turn the car into track mode, and that sets all the parameters to allow you to get around the track as fast as you can. And it's everything from suspension to the shift patterns to the way the car steers, all of that. There is a system called the PDR. PDR stands for Performance Data Recorder, and this is built into the Z51 package if you add it into it. PDR is exactly what you described. We have a bunch of cameras built into the car, and it's a system that actually tracks the way that you're driving on any particular track. So if you want to improve your driving skills, you turn on the PDR while you're sitting at the green flag, and when you go, the car will actually tell you, no, you can go a little bit faster here. You don't have to hit the brakes so hard in this turn. It can work as a training module to help you drive faster, but then also it's just cool to have afterwards. I mean, you have this amazing video of you blowing around the track in your new Corvette.
I just can't. I was visualizing what you were saying. I only have two more questions. And of course, the last question is going to be, well, maybe three, the pricing. But I'd like to shift gears literally now. One of the attributes and the assets and the designs that I love about this car is the dual clutch transmission. And folks, for your information, everybody, blink your eye. The blink of an eye is 200 milliseconds or 0.2 of a second. As I understand, Shad, this vehicle has, with the transmission, the dual clutch transmission, can shift gears from one to the next gear in under 100 milliseconds.
Yes, that is true, and that's very important for this car. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of debate about the DCT, the new DCT, the first time ever that we put this into a Corvette. There's no manual transmission option, but the DCT does have a manual paddle shift to give you that experience. But you're right. The rapid shift time of the transmission in the DCT in the new Corvette is faster than any human can possibly do. So if you want to win on the track, this is the way to do it with this DCT. And when you pair that to the 6.2-liter V8 engine in the back, 495 horsepower, it is a rocket. 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds.
Now, that's amazing. And folks, just for your information, it is virtually impossible for a human being to clutch a car, pull a gear shift, and shift to one gear to the next in 3 times the time that this vehicle can go. So the blink of an eye is twice as long as the shift point. I'm really enthused about that. And as I understand, just one more little technical question, it has a wet dual clutch versus the dry dual clutch. so the smoothness and the control is superior. Is that not correct?
That's correct. And also, what comes along with that is this just amazing snap sound. When you're under throttle and you hear the transmission shift, it is just this clap of thunder, and you just can't help but get a grin on your face.
I'm grinning right now. Okay, what's the price?
So the base Stingray starts at $59,995. So you get to pick up a brand new mid-engine Corvette, $59.95. It'll do 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds and 194 miles per hour. Then we actually just this week, last night in fact, we unveiled the first hardtop convertible Corvette, and that adds about $7,500 onto the price tag. But that will come out end of first quarter next year. So more news on Corvette just this week when we showed the convertible last night.
And when will the vehicle be on the showroom floors for everyone to take a look and go pick out their colors?
Yeah, good question. So as you mentioned at the beginning of this interview, the auto show season is well underway. I'm at the Orange County Auto Show right now, and I'm looking at a Zeus Bronze, gorgeous mid-engine Corvette. So the cars are on the circuit for the auto shows. They will be in dealers probably around November, December of this year. But definitely dealers are taking orders now, so they have all of our configurators, all the information you need now.
Okay, I love it. I want it. Where can I go online, and can I build one online now for order?
We have an all-new configurator that it's great. It allows you to totally customize your car. You can take a printout of it, save it as a photo for yourself so that you can get excited about what you've just ordered. Chevrolet.com, and everything that you'll ever need about Corvette is on that site.
That is absolutely fantastic. Shad Balch, Western Region Communication for Chevrolet, a lucky auto guy that gets to drive this car and really share his experience with it. And we'll hear more as we go along. Shad, thank you so much for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Really appreciate your time and the update, and we're excited about the new mid-engine 2020 Corvette.
It's always a pleasure talking with you, Bobby.
And folks, I really am excited about the 2020 Corvette because the mid-engine, with all the electronics that we can think of today, there's a ton of electronics. And speaking of electronics, batteries. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by The Battery Shop on YouTube, developed by Clarius. The Battery Shop features DIY videos on battery installs, technical tips, and battery technology. It's a great place and a great resource for car battery information. That's the Battery Shop channel on YouTube. Okay, your calls when I come back at 888 Car Clinic. Don't touch that dial. A 2015 Ford Escape recently came into the shop, 120,000 miles and going strong, but it was starting to hesitate, and the customer also complained of declining fuel economy. This 2-liter turbocharged engine is GDI, or gas direct injection, and special maintenance is needed in certain areas, particularly the fuel system. We suspected carbon buildup, and sure enough, using a borescope through the spark plug hole, there was definite evidence of carbon buildup. GDI engines are different in the way they inject fuel, and it can create some issues with repair and maintenance. That's why it's important to use products rated for GDI, like Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel management maintenance kit. Each step of the process is designed with GDI engines in mind. We use the kit, and after 2 weeks on the road, the car is performing noticeably better, and MPG has improved a bit. Learn more about Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel management maintenance kits and other great products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're talking with David in South Carolina with a '99 Mercedes transmission. So David, what I recommend is that you limp this car, no pun intended, to the local Mercedes dealer, and have them to not only you're not reading codes here. I mean, you are, but that's an exterior. Let me put it real simple. If you and I are sitting at a restaurant, look across the street, and there's a house on fire, we know there's a house on fire, and we see smoke. But only when we go into the house can we determine where the fire is coming from and where it originated and how to properly put it out if we are so lucky to be there early enough before it spreads. Well, when you go to, like, some parts companies will read your codes for free, but they only have readers, which is like anybody can buy a reader for $35, $50. The professional tools that we use not only read the code, which is the no-brainer, but our equipment goes into the architecture of the electronics of the vehicle. We can literally take, for instance, and you've seen cars that have electronic controls on suspension, we can take a laptop and walk 20 feet away from a Mercedes and make the Mercedes do a dance like a lowrider, right fender up, left fender down, just from our laptop. You can't do that with a reader. You can only do that with a professional scan tool that has a software that's compatible and will allow the technician to enter that realm of ones and O's. And I say that because that's the way it really is. So I would recommend that you pay a dealer, a nominal amount, and they'll tell you what they'll charge to do the not repair it, but to read it and see what they can get and glean from going into the house, if you so to speak. So that's what I would recommend, because if you've got an error and you've replaced the part for that error, maybe all you need now is to reprogram. And here's an important thing for you to know, David. Whether it's a Mercedes or a Lexus, or we put a door actuator, the lady called earlier, we put a door actuator on a Lexus and a door actuator only goes up and down, so it only needs 3 wires. One's ground, one's positive, and then switch positive. You got me there, right? Well, there were 6 leads to this Lexus door actuator, because with today's cars, when the airbag goes off, the computer unlocks all the doors. So when you replace a door actuator, which is the automatic locker, an unlocker, the car has to recognize that part and accept that part into its realm of control so that first responders, when they get to a car that's in an accident and the airbag has gone off and you're crippled in the car, they don't have to break out a window to get to you. They can open the door because all doors unlock automatically when the airbag goes off to allow first responders access to the car. And therein lies the safety reasoning for putting all of the controls of a car online. And they are all online within the architecture of that vehicle. And I'll tell you, the manufacturers don't like it, and they're very cautious about allowing anyone to go into that online. And to that end, we actually use a local ACE unlock. It's a locksmith service because they have a license to make keys and fobs and do things that we don't have a license for because they're bonded in that, because they're allowed to go into that security realm of a car that thieves would love to be, if you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what
yeah.
you're saying.
So anyway,
Okay.
that's what I would do, and then let me know when you get to the other side what they found, and it sounds like you've got a handle on it. So go forward, okay?
All right. Thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for your call. Let's take a call from Bruce. Bruce, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Oh, good morning. How are you doing?
Great. What can I do for you?
I love your show. I just want to say that.
Oh, thank you.
I've got a Kia Sorento, and it's my girlfriend's best friend's daughter's car. And the exhaust manifolds are getting red hot, and
Wow.
it seems like something's holding back the power of the car. And I'm just curious if they are probably related or not. And I've tried a few things. I know that in the old days when your headers got hot and stuff, it was usually a lean mixture of some sort or timing related. But with this computer, I'm having no misfire, and I think they're related.
Well, certainly what I would do, the easiest thing for you to do, I mean, are you working on this car yourself or
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the easiest thing to do is disconnect the exhaust manifold, not from the head, of course, because that's not easy, but from the exhaust pipe, because if you had a catalytic converter that was restricted, you can't get out. You couldn't. It won't breathe correctly. It won't. The air-fuel ratio will be affected. The performance will certainly be affected. I mean, you can put a potato up a tailpipe and it won't run. The car won't run. If you stop up the tailpipe, it won't run. So you don't have a stopped-up tailpipe because if you did, the engine would not run. But if you have a partially restricted muffler or catalytic converter that's been damaged and melted in interior, then yeah, it could cause sure enough cause that. And what I really think the cam's out of time.
Okay.
That's what I really think. I mean,
I have
do what?
I have removed the upstream oxygen sensors and took it for a ride last night.
Yeah.
And it didn't run any better. You still feel it holding back, and it was louder, of course, because they were out.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
but
could still
see,
feel it wasn't taking off.
But that's like that's like having a dam and you got a hole the size of your thumb. I mean, you take the O2 sensor out, it's only an 18 millimeter or 15 millimeter thread, so that doesn't affect it. But that doesn't give it enough breathing room. But I don't think that's your problem anyway. I was making that adding to the possibilities. What I really think is because you have low power and obviously an air-fuel ratio or a timing issue, I think the first thing you would do, well, a very basic thing, you would run a compression test on the engine. And you're gonna find, and that's the most basic, down to earth. I don't need electronics. What an engine has: compression, fuel, air, and ignition, and it should run. Now, how well it runs depends on how all of that is synchronized or in time. And I'll bet you're going to find an exhaust camshaft that's out of time in that vehicle.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in compression myself.
So are all internal combustion engines. So Bruce, do you know how to check cam timing?
At the timing belt or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've put in hundreds of timing belts. I'm pretty good at them.
Well,
it's had a timing belt probably about 3 years ago. But the thing I see, it starts so beautifully. and there's no misfire or any of that. But that's probably going to be the next thing. But or the catalytic converters.
I just don't think it's cat converter. I really don't because if the cat were stopped up, I mean, I mentioned that early on. If the cat were stopped up, it would cause the engine to have low power, but I don't think the engine would have enough oomph, being an 05 Sorrento, to force enough heat into the exhaust manifold. I think that's a timing and a fuel delivery issue, and now I've even convinced myself. First thing you got to check, you can check compression ratio, but I can tell you something. You need to check timing and a timing belt. And let me share this with you.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a timing belt engine, but it probably is. But let's say this. Here, one thing you have to know, because you've done so many of these, you think you know it.
Yes.
Top dead center on timing belt may not be, or may be shown on the pulley or not, because some cars like Subaru, if you set the timing belt, both timing belts as the left and the right, according to the harmonic balancer, you're not correct. There are two different marks, and you have to pull the balancer off to see the mark. So just make sure that you read a manual and get the proper instructions from a manual, a service manual for that particular engine. You got it?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, all right. Let me know what works, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
You're
Bob.
welcome very much. Yeah, that's very interesting. We just don't know what we don't know until we get to the other side of a repair. And you said, gosh, I thought so. I thought I checked that a dozen times, and it was right. It was right. Well, it was right to the best of your knowledge, and therein lies where experience comes in. I mean, if you go to a heart surgeon, do you want one this is his first heart job, or you want one that's had some experience? Well, we don't need to talk about that because we know the answer to that. Same thing's true for your car, by the way. Let's go to John. John, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah, good morning, Bobby. How are you today?
Terrific. You?
Good. Great here in Daytona Beach.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know. I don't have to ask the weather. The weather's beautiful here. I'm sure Daytona Beach is the same on the East Coast, right?
85 and sunny right now.
Well, that's my second home, and one of these days, if I should ever retire, or I guess when I do retire, they could just put me in the box, because that's probably when I'm going to retire, and they ship me to Daytona and Ormond Beach. What can I do for you today?
I have hopefully it's a simple question. I just purchased a 2018 GMC 3/4 ton Duramax.
Okay.
I'm preparing to have a topper put on it, as I had my 2016, the same thing. My question is, do you know whether or not up underneath that vehicle there is a wiring connection for the third brake light, as well as maybe a hot or a dome light?
The third brake light is going to be, isn't that on the roof of the car?
Yeah, I'm talking about the topper. When the topper is installed.
I know. But the original third brake light is on the roof of the car, right?
Correct.
Well, there's the wire there, and so you could take off from the power of that wire to feed. The challenge with that is your topper's not going to be connected to the cab. It's going to be near it, but not connected, right?
Correct.
Well, let's see. There is. Let me think back to another GMC. We just had a lot of experience with an earlier year, 96 it was, GMC, that had a brake light issue, and it had some burn wire. I won't even begin to go there, except to tell you that this vehicle had a white wire that got power when the brakes were applied, and that white wire fed the cruise control. It fed the rear brake lights. It fed through the turn signal. It fed the third brake light, and it fed an auxiliary. So to answer your question, John, yes, there would be, now I don't know if it's white or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was. There should be a white wire in the back of that vehicle where the trailer lights are that could be used to power a third brake light for the topper, the camper that you're going to put on.
Right.
And I really, yeah, before you start, for sure, before you start exploring on your own, what I would do is I would talk to the topper people, because are you going to put this on yourself?
No, I'm going to have it put on. I'm just trying to avoid having a bunch of spaghetti wiring up underneath the truck.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
EMC, I was doing some research this morning
right.
At the internet, and I thought that I was reading that up underneath the spare tire there are a series of connectors under there.
Yes, sir. They're
supposedly one of them is supposed to have some sort of a blue wire that's dedicated as a rear brake light. And I'm not sure of that, you know. And then I was also wondering if there was a hot back there to power a topper dome light as well.
Let's see, a power wire. I doubt there's a power wire for a dome light, because that would be a direct battery wire. So right. I doubt that, but that's easy enough to run to the battery, making sure that it's fused at the terminal where it's connected to the battery. You understand why?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. At where it gets its power, a fuse like 2 inches from the battery, and right. You know, or wherever you put it. But that's the most convenient. And you can run that wire and run it. Anyway, so without going there, yes, I do believe that there is an auxiliary, and that's what you need to find out. You know what? I think it might be easier to go to the dealer.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, and ask where is the auxiliary brake light wire in the back of this vehicle, because and it wouldn't surprise me if it were a white one, because of the experience that we just had right. on this one. So I would definitely do that, and that way you will not be invasive. You'll have what you need, and you can run it in the most proper way to that right. to that camper. Right. Realizing that when you go through any bulkhead, you must put a rubber grommet, and when you make any connection, you must use heat shrink and solder connections. I mean, that's the proper way to do it, you know, because you got a new vehicle and you don't want to instill problems that 6 months from now you're going down the road and poop, you lose your brake lights because it's shorted out. Hey, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, if you're like Frank in California or Lisa in North Carolina, make sure to use Ford parts for your repair and or maintenance needs. FordParts.com features high-quality parts images, line art diagrams, detailed product descriptions, and a related part number section to help you find the right component for your vehicle. Take a quick tour at FordParts.com. Likis, you'll love it.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, you never want to get surprised by a dead battery. A vehicle's original battery generally lasts about 3 to 5 years, but many fail long before then. Next time you're in for an oil service, have the technician test your battery. Better now than too late. Today's vehicles have start-stop systems, navigation, radio amplifiers, electric fuel pumps, 25 or more onboard computer modules, and serious electronic controls that depend on a strong, fully charged battery. Make sure the car you're driving has a healthy battery. Make yourself a note. Go to autobatteries.com and see for yourself how a battery can keep you safely driving down the road or put you on the side, just like that. At autobatteries.com, you'll see battery technology, battery testing, how to choose the battery, how to jumpstart your battery, and more about AGM batteries, my choice. I'm not here to make you a battery expert, rather to help you better understand why a reliable battery is essential for your road trips. Go to autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, And by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition Lemulls. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1 minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And a special welcome to this edition, this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Every Saturday from 10 till noon, I'm here as just call me your personal car consultant. And what I will do, folks, is I will help you better understand the nature of the vehicle that you drive. And for your information, Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by FordParts.com, your one-stop shop for motorcraft, Ford parts, Ford accessories, and Omnicraft parts. See your dealer for participation and details. Find it, buy it, and get back to work. That's the Ford motto at FordParts.com. Okay, 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546 is our number. Hannah will take your call, put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you today by K-Seal, a one-step pour-in solution designed to stop coolant leaks and help prevent future leaks. You can find K-Seal at Menards, in addition to fine part stores nationwide. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it. And as I've said many times here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic, if you have a car that is not worth what it would take to repair a blown head gasket or an engine block or whatever it takes to make that old car healthy again, try K-Seal if you've got a coolant leak and save yourself a lot of money and keep that car on the road. Okay, get ready, 888 Car Clinic. When I come back, I'm Bobby Likis. Like us? You're gonna love us. Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Why is the thermostat so important? Cooling system regulates engine temperature and helps prevent overheating. While it's comprised of several components, the thermostat plays a critical role with efficient cooling system operation. It must regulate coolant flow properly to maintain a specific engine operating temperature in addition to providing quick warm-up. Motorrad's new stainless steel thermal element UltraStat is unmatched for corrosion resistance. Its revolutionary Reax wax mixture provides quicker reaction time. The UltraStat also features bilinear valve technology, which prevents thermal shock to cooling system components, gradually increasing coolant flow versus instant maximum flow found in traditional thermostats. The UltraStat precisely controls engine temperature to ensure the lowest emission standards, maximum fuel efficiency, and terrific interior cabin comfort. The Motorrad UltraStat line is the perfect thermostat upgrade option with coverage for over 160 million vehicles on the road today. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. We recently had an 09 Honda Pilot come into the shop with 169,000 miles on the odometer. The vehicle owner said the cabin was starting to smell like coolant, and he was concerned. Upon closer inspection, we found a heater core leak. Choices were to keep the vehicle and make a repair, which at best is half a day's labor plus parts, or sell the vehicle and buy a different used car that could have its own set of problems. We presented a third option, K-Seal. You've heard me talk about K-Seal before. Well, I don't just talk about it, we actually use the product in our service shop. It's a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Other sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Our customer went with K-Seal, and 1 month later, no more leak. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started. Right away, we'll go to the phones are starting to fill up. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Go to Mississippi and talk with Jim. Jim, welcome back. Always love to have you in the house. How you doing, my friend?
Bobby, I'm like the World Fair. I just get bigger and better every year. Hey, that commercial you had about that K-Seal,
yeah.
I'll tell your listeners, an ounce of prevention is worth 10 pounds of cure. You can't do enough to help your automobile.
Well, you're preaching to the choir there, and I will tell you, we created, to that end, Jim, we created and we protected this called a service plan of our own. And this was after, 35 years in the business. I and my team, mostly from my direction because of sleepless nights, how can we reduce the number of breakdowns? And quite candidly, if I could find a cure for cancer, if our doctor could find a cure for cancer, that would be my goal in life. I mean, and it would be, okay? So that was the process that I used when I came up with pre-repair, which is the prevention of repair. It's a program designed to maintain healthy components, the major components of a car, bumper to bumper. And we not only created that and codified that program, we trademarked that program. And under that program comes Booster Shot, which is our supercharged oil change. And I will tell you, my car at 35,000 miles had every component serviced under the pre-repair. And lo and behold, at 49,000, the water pump started making noise. And because the pre-repair comes with a protection plan, the protection plan, which is not my company, but it's a larger company, an international company, and we buy the equipment and the chemicals from that company. The protection plan supplied with it paid my shop $749 to replace the water pump and the related services for that particular bad event on my 49,000-mile automobile, which I was never satisfied and happy that the water pump needed to be replaced. And to that end, there was a change in the water pump design, and I had to do it again later on at my nickel. But anyway, so you're talking to the choir here, and that's a program that we created, and that's enough said about it, except that we take cars that are brand new at 5,000 miles and do our booster shot, perform our booster shot, so that way we can use conventional motor oil, add a full synthetic additive to the motor oil, and it becomes a blended synthetic, and it's less expensive than synthetic and protects equally as well. Anyway, back to you and your question. Thanks for your comment.
Nissan exterior, Bobby. I love its body style. I love this vehicle. It's got two-wheel drive, 3.3 automatic. We've got 16-inch tires on it.
Okay.
When I crank it up and start out my driveway, if I start down a hill, the transmission don't slip, but it's like the engine is outrunning the truck.
The car, yeah. Got you.
But you let off of it and come back in it, it's fine. Or you can take off hard, it don't slip. Now, that's the first issue. When you get up about 45, 50 mile an hour, you can let off that gas a little bit, and you can watch your RPM drop back from about 2,100, 2,200, about 2,000.
Is that a VVT transmission?
I don't know. All I know is automatic. Bobby, I'm not no mechanic. I'm a shade. I told you this before. I'm a shade tree mechanic.
Well, here's my concern. The variable control transmission, variable ratio transmission, and I don't know what year Nissan had those, but that is my least. Let me put this the right way. I loved the old Nissan Altima, the Altima. They're great cars, okay? But when Nissan came out with that variable transmission, and I loved the transmission 40 years ago, I even called Don Garland and said, hey, it was called a MAN at the time, M-A-N, from the UK, and it has no gears in it. It has a steel belt that drives it in pulleys that expand and contract so that one pulley ratio. Okay, that transmission, that transmission has given nothing but problems, and manufacturers have redesigned them. And so another 5 years from now, I'll know if the 2018 Nissan with its variable transmission is any better than the 2002 or 5 or 4, whatever that year was. So my concern for you is, Jim, that you've got a transmission issue. It's something you can't fix, nor should you, and you can't go out and buy a used one because you already have a used one. So if that transmission does continue to do what it's doing, you're going to have to replace the transmission. And in order to do that, you either have to get a reman, which could be one of the major companies. Jasper's one of them. Yeah, and so there are other parts houses that sell reman transmissions, but that's the only way, because the symptom you're giving me, and that's the reason I don't like those transmissions, because there's a lot of and there's no go. There's a lot of roar, but there's no go behind it until you back off the throttle. Then it sort of seems like it you can feel it from the seat of your pants. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's because the first one I ever drove really was a Cavalier that I was given as a road test, and I was hesitant to write the road test because I really did not enjoy driving that car because the transmission never seemed to hook up, and I think that's what you're experiencing.
Well, the body itself's got 265,000 on it. The motor's got about 22,000 on it.
Right.
I thought about having it transmission drained, completely drained, and new filter and everything put in it, and see if that might make any help. You might help it some. And what kind of additive could I put to it? Like I said,
there's a fluid for that transmission that's fluid specific with no additive, and any service shop would have that. But and I'm always for, yes, by all means, change the fluid, Jim, because you have nothing to lose there. Make sure you use the fluid that is specific to that transmission, and the industry will tell you that, and you can look up the specs. But
we'll do that now. The other issue real quick is my brakes. I can reach down and touch that brake pedal. It'll go about halfway to the floor. And then you let off, pump it, hit it again, it'll stop you on a dime. Now, I bled my brakes, my right back, left front, left front. I even hunted a bleeder on my master cylinder. I can't find one there. It's good for 2 or 3 days, and then it'll go back doing the same thing. Could that be the master cylinder or the vacuum booster?
Well, the vacuum boosters, no, it's not the vacuum booster. The vacuum booster either works or it doesn't. The master cylinder, if you bleed the brakes and you get a better brake pedal, or if you can pump the brakes up and increase the brake pedal, there's air in the system. If you bleed and get the air out and correct it, and in 3 days or a week or so, that same thing comes back. The only way air can get in the system is a seal that would be, my first guess, master cylinder. Okay?
All right. Thank you, Bobby.
You're welcome.
Hey, listen. I try to listen to you all the time, but I can't get you till late in the afternoon. So y'all have a great day, and God bless, okay?
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you. What a nice guy. I never met him, but I feel like I know him. I guess just that maybe that's a Mississippi Southern gentleman. I don't know, or which I'm a Floridian, but I'm a Southern gentleman is what I've been called, among other things. Okay, who's next? Elmer, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, Bobby, my 1998 town car, the battery light never comes on, Engine off, key on.
Well, the simplest answer to that is to remove the cluster and put a bulb in that socket.
Well, if I pull the field plug off of the alternator and ground the light wire, the light comes on. So I know the fuse and the bulb is good.
Well, then that tells me, all right, if that's here, okay, that's good. Great, you're good. That means that the bulb circuit that is normally grounded through the charging system is okay. Ergo, when you turn the key on, it gets a hot from the key. Let's see, it's electrical. The electricals are always tough because what you think is causing a problem is usually not. But the bottom line is, it's if you turn the key on, in all cars, as you know, folks, and Elmer knows this, if you turn the key on, all the whole dash lights up and it tests, and then it goes to a test. So if yours is not doing that, then you have to have a wiring diagram. Do you have a wiring diagram?
Sure do. I've been in the business for 33 years. I'm 92 years old now and retired.
Well, cool. Well, your next step is going to be to pull the cluster and make sure that the 32-pin and the printed circuit board in the cluster is healthy. And you should be able to do that without any real, that's not really hard to get out of that car.
Oh, Bobby, if I ground the light wire at the alternator and the light comes on, don't that tell us the circuit is good?
It tells you that circuit is good, but when the key is off, when the key is in the run position, then there's another ground the way it gets another. In other words, you're testing half of the circuitry. Just because that works doesn't mean the other half is working, and the other half is a static and a running. Hold on, I'll be back. In the service bay this week, a longtime customer's 2000 Ford Taurus. He'd been complaining about a humming noise at highway speeds and grinding when he stopped. With 55,000 miles on the odometer, the driver's had the vehicle since new and never had any work done. No brakes, no suspension. A thorough inspection revealed a number of potential problems. A failing left front wheel bearing, worn-out rear brake pads and rotors, and the beginnings of a leaking brake caliper. Our choice to solve these problems? Motorcraft. Brake systems and suspension repair represent serious work you want done right the first time. Choosing quality parts is critical to ensuring vehicle reliability and longevity. Motorcraft quality brake and suspension parts are engineered for Ford and Lincoln vehicles. From the hub to the rotor, calipers, brake pads, and wheel bearings, Motorcraft quality parts provide you with the stopping power and stability needed for your vehicle. Learn more about Motorcraft brake and suspension parts at motorcraft.com. That's motorcraft.com. Motorcraft, right part, priced right. We recently performed a major service on a 1996 F-150. The vehicle had just under 200,000 miles on it. In addition to fluids and filters, we changed the spark plugs and boots, performed a cooling system flush, and replaced the thermostat, hoses, and drive belts. After a few weeks, the owner noticed a small leak coming from the area where the transmission bolted onto the block. Using a pressure tester, we found that coolant was seeping from one of the freeze plugs at the rear of the engine. This repair would require several hours of labor and another few days or so in the shop. Given the truck's age and the fact it was just in the shop for service, we suggested K-Seal, a one-step permanent multi-purpose system for coolant leak repair that won't clog radiators or heater cores. K-Seal stops leaks and can also prevent future leaks. After driving the truck for a week, the owner called and let us know the leak had stopped. K-Seal is available at fine retailers everywhere, like Napa Auto Parts. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance. When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're talking with Elmer, and Elmer, I thought about your dash light, your battery light that doesn't come on when you turn the key on. So let's you and I get on the same page. When you turn the key on, the key will send power to the bulb and the battery light, and then and you've proven that the bulb is good because you can go to the alternator and ground the white wire at the alternator and the bulb will come on. That's correct?
Yeah, and my question was, what grounds that when you hook it to the alternator? Is there something in the alternator that grounds that wire to turn the light on?
Well, obviously there is, because if we take things on the simplistic side and take a body control module out, which I'm sure in this case is not a part of the culprit, because then all bets are off, because they're computerized controls that use resistance readings and voltage readings and what have you. But in this case, it sounds to me as though maybe a stator in the alternator or a diode in the alternator is not functioning and is not providing the ground that the light needs. Because think about this, let's simplify it. If you've got a bulb, you've got a power wire and a ground wire. We know the power wire is okay because you turn the key on and you ground it, it works. Therefore, what we are missing is a ground. So it stands to reason that the alternator is providing, normal cases, the alternator is providing the ground, because when you crank the engine and the alternator produces current, that same wire that was grounding now becomes positively hot, and you can hook positive to one side of a light and positive to the other side, and no current flow, because there's no current flow because there's no positive to negative. So it sounds to me as though the alternator is a culprit.
All right, I understand that you put juice on both sides of the light, it goes out. But let me tell you another problem. I thought it was the voltage regulator, so I put a new brush set and voltage regulator in. That didn't help. So I went and bought a new alternator. That didn't do any good. And the parts house give me another new alternator, and that doesn't do it. So it's got me baffled.
Well, and the reason it has is because the simplicity of two positives will not make a light, and the way that you're thinking and the way that you and I just had a conversation, you would think that. Therefore, when the car is turned on, it doesn't use that white wire to make that light. You're just going around the back door and making the light come on. So if you have a wiring diagram, you should be able to see where the power comes and go to the light bulb and have power. And you should be able to go turn the key on and go to the wire that feeds the printed circuit board and see if there's power to it, and then see if there's a ground. Elmer, that's what I advise you to do. And like last week, I got into a 20-minute conversation with someone. You can't fix a car over the air. I wish I could, but you've got to go back and start checking a pinout from the wiring diagram as to where the wire, and let me ask one question. Does that white wire on the wiring diagram go directly from the alternator to that bulb, or do you know? How did you?
There's a 980 ohm resistor in that line somewhere.
Did you check the ohms in that wire?
Not as yet.
Okay, that's your next step then. Hey, thanks for your call. I'll look forward to hearing from you next week. We'll take another call from Pennsylvania. Ron, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you, and thanks for holding.
No problem. Appreciate it. Listen, I got a 1980 Jeep CJ5. I did a 2-year frame-off restoration.
Cool.
Got an Iron Duke engine on it. Been running well, but in the last month I've been encountering a lot of problems with ignition. Actually, it was idling rough, and then from there it started stalling, so I started replacing parts. I replaced the distributor cap because it was cracked, replaced the wires because they were corroded,
right?
Replaced the distributor rotor, replaced the ignition module, replaced the radio capacitor, and replaced the coil. And now I don't have spark at all.
Well, we know that when you've got you don't have a standard point and condenser. You've got a electronic ignition. So
I got an HEI ignition.
It's an HEI? An HEI? A simple HEI?
HEI. Mm-hmm.
Well, you put 12 volts on the HEI and ground it and hold it in your hand, it's going to make spark.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's too simple. Okay. All right. So here, wait.
I got the HEI, and I replaced it I ran out of ideas yesterday. I went out and bought a new HEI coil. Even though I tested the old one for ohms and everything, it looked good.
Well, what about the pole piece?
I can even throw electrical wire to it.
Ron,
the power is coming in.
Ron, what about the pole piece?
What about the pole piece? You talking about the capacitor coil?
No.
Pickup coil?
No, I'm talking about the reluctor in the distributor.
The reluctor in the distributor. I'm not sure which part that is. I have to look that up.
It's called a pole piece. Here's the simplest thing. You can go, and we did this recently because ironically, we had a Jeep that this young man bought, bad decision, and it didn't run. And the reason it didn't run is because the flywheel had 5 teeth stripped out of it. So the first thing we did was we pulled the transmission, put a new flywheel, and put a new starter on it. Johnny Bars turned the starter and it went and fired and scared us. We thought it was going to tear up our brand new flywheel. So that's why whoever traded it because of course when we found out that when it had fire, but the bottom line, when we disconnected the ignition, it would spin over and the starter would mesh and work well. When we hooked up the ignition, it wouldn't turn over about a half a turn and it would backfire. So obviously it was out of time. So we retarded the timing just as a test, some 40 degrees, and it still did the same thing. I said, pull the distributor, put a new distributor in it. So it was an HEI. When I found out it was HEI, I said, oh, that's no big deal because the HEI is all encompassing one unit. So we put a distributor in this vehicle, and we took the other one apart. Not only were the advance weights rusted and seized, but whoever had put the rotor on it didn't get the square hole in the square and the round hole and the round peg, and when they tightened it, the flyweights were lapping over like you put your hands on your chest versus being down in their little happy groove, and the rotor was not secure, but it had seized the weights as well. I mean, it was idiotic is what it was, and here was a young man that bought this vehicle, but what was really strange is the person that sold it to him that had obviously replaced the rotor and cap. So for you, here's what you should know. All you have to do is I would pull the distributor out of that vehicle, and all you have to do is ground the distributor housing and run 12 volts from a battery, the same battery, separate from the car, and spin that distributor with the gear with your hand, and it will provide spark. So you can bench test. That's the easiest. I mean, the cam does turn over, doesn't it? The gear's not stripped in the distributor, is it?
No, the cam's fine. The gears are turning. In the distributor, the weights are turning.
Okay, pull it out and put a reluctor in it, and you can buy parts or you can just buy a distributor. I know that we bought ours from O'Reilly Auto Parts right off the street, and they didn't have one in stock, but they got one in 2 hours. So I know those parts are still available because that's a common issue, that's a common problem. But
it's an Iron Duke. There's plenty of those out there.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway. here's your go-to. Pull that distributor away from the vehicle, get a battery on your workbench, or use a battery in the vehicle, and hold it a comfortable position. Run a ground wire from the battery to the case of the distributor. Run a 12 volts from the same battery to the hot lead of the distributor, and spin the gear with your hand. And if you don't spark, it's a bad pole piece, or it's a bad distributor, or something. It is the distributor. That's the easy fix.
Well, I can pick back all those parts and just and spend a little more money and get a whole distributor.
That's what I would do.
Make my life easier.
Hey, you know what that's called? It's called hindsight, or Bobby Likis car clinic. Hey, thanks for calling. Good luck. Let me know next week if they'll take the parts back.
Oh no, don't take the parts back. I appreciate your advice, Bob.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ron. Good luck. Let's go to New York from Pennsylvania and talk to Carol. Carol, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Oh, I'm so glad that I got you before 12 o'clock, and we don't have much time.
Okay.
But I'm calling about my Subaru that I picked up on June 25th. I had the Honda CR-V with the clutch that had to be replaced. It was a faulty clutch.
Right.
I don't know if you remember.
I remember, and this was you like standard transmission cars.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh yeah, I got your number.
God bless you, and don't forget it. Because one of these days, now that I have a new car, I'm going to make it down to Pensacola. Okay, so I have good news and I have sad news. S-A-D, not D-A-D.
I know.
Okay, the good news is that I'm getting over 30 miles per gallon average, and I discovered this little window. I believe when I got the new car, you asked me about different displays. Well, I discovered the one that shows in real time your MPG in real time.
Right.
So I'm even in the city, I'm getting like 30 sometimes.
Wow.
So I'm very happy about that.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I have driven on the highway. We have a Route 81 that's up in the Syracuse, north and south of we're south of Syracuse, and the car, 6 gears. The car was dying. It was a dog. I couldn't believe it. This one particular road is like a roller coaster, and I had 2 other ladies in the car. One was weighty, one was not. And I was, 2 of us were about the same, but the other one was kind of weighty. And are you laughing?
Yeah, I think that's the nicest thing you could ever say about somebody that's overweight. They're weighty.
A weight with a Y on the end. And so anyway, I was having to downshift to 5th gear and 4th gear, because of this one. I'm just going to say the route number. They're 81 near Syracuse.
Okay.
You take this Lafayette exit, and you get on this Route 20 West. I know there's a lot of local people here that listen, because people have told me that they've heard me on the radio, some of my friends.
Well, wait then, Carol. To that end, for them to hear you next time, we have a hard break coming up. So you stay right there. Folks, I'm going to come back, and then we're going to go to Jeff, but we're going to stay with Carol. Don't go away. Folks, recently a 99 Chevrolet Blazer came into the shop. The owner was having problems with hesitation upon acceleration. He'd already changed out several parts: spark plugs, wires, ignition coil, mass airflow sensor, fuel filter, and the air filter element. He even changed the thermostat and coolant temperature sensor. Still had the same problem after putting a lot of money in this car, and he was frustrated. We dug a little deeper, cleaned the throttle body, and checked for trouble codes. No codes. So we recommended Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Carbon deposits and dirty fuel injector nozzles are a common problem with drivability in late model engines. We also recommended a higher quality gasoline. The customer noticed improvement on the first day, and only a few days and a few hundred miles later, the problem was completely gone. Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're talking with Carol in New York. So, Miss Carol, you're out on 20 there, and it's at the hills, and you got a load in the car, and you're having a downshift. And
third and to fourth, well,
right.
Yes, to fourth. But here's the thing.
Okay.
This particular road, I mean, it's got really long hills and really long declines. So I was trying to get a head start, and I was just, it was the first time that I had that many people in the car, other than myself,
right.
And it really surprised me. And that's the sad news, because I couldn't believe it, because with my 19-year-old Honda CR-V with 5 gears, never had a problem. I never had a downshift into fourth on any highway. It would be in fifth gear, and it would just sail along no matter how many hills I had. But anyway, here's the really sad, embarrassing part. When I was by myself in the car, I had to go back on that road a second day because I was at a playhouse and I lost my jacket, and they found it, and I drove up myself the following day. So I had to travel that same roller coaster thing. And coming back, I was getting back on 81 from the Lafayette, and it's like a decline and then quite a bit incline. I wound up, are you ready for this, having to get in the truck lane, because I was in third gear and I was accelerating at 100% because I said I discovered that window, the little display thing that from left to right,
right.
Overall mileage, MPG in real time, and then percentage of acceleration.
Right.
And I was up to 100. I had the thing floored, and I'm in the truck lane. And I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
Well,
and I just got off the phone 20 minutes ago with the dealer because I thought I've got to talk to somebody over there. And I talked to the salesman. He knew he's never heard any complaints. I says, yeah, well, how many people drive manual transmission that you've sold a car to? Because I guess the Subarus also have, the automatics have that CVT, the continuous
variable
velocity
ratio.
transmission.
Right.
And so and he wasn't offering to ask anybody. I says, well, please go, pick somebody's brain and see if anybody knows anything about it.
Let me share this with you. There's something you can do in the meantime. You can go online to Subaru's site, when you're going to build a car, and find your particular vehicle. And this is what's important.
My VIN number, particular vehicle?
No, I'm sorry. Your particular engine size.
Okay.
Thanks for pinpointing that. And what you would need to know is the horsepower and the torque.
2,500 cc's. 2.5 liter.
But you need to know the horsepower and the torque rating for that engine.
Aha.
And if you've got the Monroney sticker, the original sales that was in the window.
It's in my glove compartment.
Okay, I thought you might. You will see the horsepower and torque rating and MPG, you know, all that the pertinent information that is mandated by the government that we, you know, anyway. So what you want to look at is the torque of that engine. And then you want to compare that to the torque of the Honda. And I'll share this with you, and then I have to go. But last week, after last week's broadcast, I drove from Florida to Georgia, to Atlanta. And in Atlanta, I joined friends, and we took their car to the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Oh, I've been through there. With my Honda, not with my Honda, but with my Toyota Tercel,
yes,
a 4-speed, never had a problem.
Well, this gentleman that was the wife of my wife, was the husband of my wife's friend who went to school with. That's how this all came about. So I had the displeasure of riding from Atlanta, Georgia, to the Blue Ridge Mountains in a Subaru SUV that was as gutless of an automobile. Now, having said that, there were three adults and one weighty adult, him. But this car had a lot of miles, had no maintenance, nor had it ever had a bath, I don't think, and it had an axle bearing that I 2 blocks after we left, I said, I'm only going to say this one time because I don't want to make this trip, you know, I don't want to call out everything, but you do have a left rear axle bearing that needs to be replaced.
Because it was making a noise?
I mean, this is like 2.5 hours, drove me crazy. I was sitting on it. So the bottom line did. And you don't want to ask me out for dinner in your car because I'm going to say, oh, did you know you've got this problem? It's my lot in life. But Carol, in closing, let me say this. He floorboarded that car every chance he got, and we were going over the mountains there in Blue Ridge and going over to the lodge where we were staying and what have you. And it was the worst experience in my life. Number one, I don't like to ride with people because I'm a control freak. I openly admit that.
I'm the same way with driving.
Number two, I don't like to ride in a car that's had no maintenance, no baths, interior-wise or exterior-wise, and has been ridden hard until something breaks. And I assured them when we said goodbye and got back in my car to come back.
What year was it? What year was the vehicle?
I don't know. It's probably 10 years old. It was a small SUV Subaru.
Probably the Forester, perhaps.
Yeah, it was a Forester. Yeah, it was. Okay, now that I remember on the deck lid, it was a Forester. It had no power, and it was an automatic transmission, and he would go, he would kick it down into overdrive or into passing gear going over these little mountains there around the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I got to say, the first thing I thought of, other than all that I just told you, is this car needs a turbocharger. So a 4-cylinder engine, and I'll say this, it's too late now. Anybody that buys a 4-cylinder engine, you should buy a turbocharger because the turbocharger is like 40% increase in horsepower and a 17-pound addition in weight. I'm telling you, it's the biggest bang for the buck. And my dear, there's nothing, you can check the numbers and so that you can figure out what next you're going to do on this vehicle, but check your torque rating and then compare that to the torque of a turbo, which is not, apples and apples. But the bottom line is, I think you bought what you bought, and my concern is that it is what it is. I don't think anything's wrong with the vehicle. I think it is what it is.
I don't believe so either. But your earlier phone call, I think said something about something was baffling. You used the word baffling, and that reminded me. I said, I've got to call you because I think I had a baffle problem in a muffler many years ago when I had a Ford van, and the guy who installed it said, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with the muffler." I said, "Yes, there is."
Yes,
because
yeah. I've been there, done. I know exactly what you're talking about. Here's the bottom line.
And there was something wrong with the muffler. They had to replace it.
Well, the first thing you're going to do is go to the dealer and road test this car with someone, put a technician in this car and take him out on the road. And not that you've got to go out to 20 or 80 or whatever, but you can find a nearby hill or so and show them what you don't like about this vehicle, and then ask them to test it for the proper performance, and then let me know what they say, and I'll help you.
God bless you. Okay. I'll let you get to the next caller.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you
for taking my call.
You're welcome. And that's underpowered. 4 cylinders just doesn't have it. Have to have the turbo. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff in New York. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Hey, Bobby, what a fun show. I really love listening in.
She is such a character, and she loves standard. She buys only standard transmissions, and the problem with standard transmissions, of course, today's cars, like paddle shifts and what have you, they're going to discontinue standard transmissions because you can have a faster drag race car, not that we're drag racing, with a paddle shift automatic than you can with a standard transmission, because all that internal dual clutches is all done mechanically, electromechanically, and so you can't begin to physically match the push the clutch, shift the lever, let the clutch out, and nail the gas pedal. You can't do that like a paddle shift can. Anyway, what can I do for you?
Oh, just real quick. Well, she lives up here not too far from me. She'd be thrilled to come down here and drive my little 94 minivan. It's got that little 5-speed. Bobby, it turned over 250,000 the other day.
Darn. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I love this whole thing. It is the engine runs great, man. I could hop in and drive down to see you today. It's not a problem.
Wow.
It's a little bit noisy. It's always had a kind of a clack, 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 clack.
Yeah.
I even went through and rebuilt the motor and everything on it, but it still does that. I don't know. Maybe it's a water pump. I don't know, but never have a problem with it. It runs great. You were talking about distributors earlier, and I was thinking back on a pickup truck I had, and my wife was out here with me one day, and I said, "Hey, I think I'll pull this distributor off and just clean everything up inside there." To pull it off, and there was little chips of metal and metal dust everywhere.
Yeah.
Pulled the rotor off. The little spring tab on top of the rotor.
Sure.
It was gone. And I had been driving it. I'd probably just driven it back from Tennessee. I use that truck to run back and forth.
Right.
Runs flawless. I pulled it out. Oh, how can it even be running? There's nothing in there. It's just a plastic rotor. I don't know.
Well, it's a distributor.
It was jumping.
Well, it's a distributor, but not a ignition distributor. It's a distributor of ignition voltage, in as much as it has a magnetic crankshaft sensor that and an igniter elsewhere that fires the coil, and the coil sends the voltage to the distributor cap, and that distributor turns, and whenever the coil fires, it connects to the right cylinder. So it literally is just a pointer, but it has no guts on the inside. That's a typical. Ford went through that, and then they realized, well, gosh, that what's the better solution? And of course, coil over plugs, and then they didn't have too much success for that. I'm afraid, but anyway, that's what I
was just surprised that I didn't know that they would run without that little. That
voltage, voltage, 100,000 volts, man, it'll jump. It doesn't like it, but it'll jump even when pieces missing. Of course, it burns and makes tracers and causes misfires and what have you. Hey, I got to go, Jeff. Thanks so much for your call. Yeah, appreciate you. Folks, I want to share with you an information about water damage because of the recent floods and in the east part of our country. Water damage from a flood can unknowingly cause a lot of problems that are costly down the road to fix. And our partner at the Car Care Council, Rich White's the executive director there, and I want to quote, in addition Flood-damaged vehicles can be unhealthy to occupy because of mold and bacteria growing within the carpet and the ventilation system. The Car Care Council, in conjunction with the Car Care Professionals Network, recommend taking the following steps to determine if a vehicle has been flood damaged. And I want to just share some of this because this is important. Take the sniff test. Well, that's easy enough. Close all the windows and doors, let it sit for 5 minutes, and open the door and see what you smell. If there's microbial growth, you'll get a whiff of it. Try the touch test. Use a paper towel, press against the low spots in the carpet, and if you draw moisture, you know you got water underneath the mats there. Investigate the interior. Look for corrosion in and around areas that were unpainted. Under the seats is specifically, and I've made this mention many times on Car Clinic. Look under the seats at the hardware, and if you see new bolts and washers holding an old seat with rusty springs, you'll know that that's not a match, and you know that car may have been underwater, at least up to that part of it. And of course, look for mud and debris. And inspect the instrument panel. Turn the key on and check the bulb test. Make sure every bulb lights up. And if a system does have an issue, removing the warning bulb can hide it. And in many instances, vehicles that are flooded have malfunctions in both their anti-lock brake system and the airbag system. So you can take a peek at where those bulbs are and look for any corrosion caused by moisture. It should be pristine. All cars, even older cars, when you take the cluster out, should be as it was new. Like taking the back off of a television, except for a little dust. You shouldn't see anything that's burned or corroded. And the last from the Car Care Council, take it to a professional. Have an automotive technician inspect that vehicle. And they can raise the car and look underneath and check for debris that may be lodged, up in the shock area, the springs. And finally, ask the technician to examine all of the fluids to determine what degree of water, if any, has entered. Those are all great tips from the Car Care Council. And for more information, go to carcare.org and take a look around at all of the videos and the online scheduling and just a host of things that you can do and you should know so that you can keep your car on the road versus on the side of the road. A special thanks to the Car Care Council. That's all the time that we have for today. I see that we've got a gentleman that's calling in, Robert, with a Subaru Outback 4-cylinder. I'm sure that maybe it's a rebuttal. Robert, I'm going to ask you to call next week because I'll put you first up. And every week from 10 till noon, you can hear Bobby Likis Car Clinic at Watch Bobby Live or on your local radio stations, AM and or FM across the nation. Thanks for tuning in today. It's been I enjoy so much sharing information. Next week, I'm going to share a little bit of information about CarStar. And CarStar was founded on the belief that a network of high-quality collision repair facilities would be of benefit for consumers and welcomed by the insurance industry. And a gentleman named Lyrel Holt, a former shop owner and expert in collision management for 3M, saw the opportunity and created CarStar. A little more about CarStar next week, answers to your car questions, and more car fun right here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
October is Fall Car Care Month. The Car Care Council reminds you there's no better time to perform a thorough check of maintenance items, brakes, batteries, tires, cooling systems, filters, headlights. These are just a few things to consider before harsh weather hits. Visit carcare.org to find out how you can best keep your vehicle safe, dependable, and on the road longer. You can even develop your own custom service schedule. It's Fall Car Care Month. Are you car care aware? Learn more at carcare.org.
O'Reilly. This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street, and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here.